They immediately call the archives, turn them over to the archives, and I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. But I don't know what's in the documents. My lawyers have not suggested I ask what documents they were, and we're cooperating fully with the review, and which I hope will be finished soon.
Just in the last hour, President Biden made his first comments about the Department of Justice review of a small number of classified documents found in his former private office at a Washington, D.C. think tank that appear to be from his time in the Obama administration. Now, while it's entirely proper for the DOJ to do its review, if you listen to Republicans or conservative media, they want you to believe it's on par with Donald Trump carting off boxes of classified documents to Mar-a-Lago and then refusing for months to give them back.
Well, my reaction is how ironic. I know Joe Biden was quick to criticize President Trump for mistakenly taking some documents that were apparently classified.
They were eager to raid Donald Trump. Now, they're going to raid all of the president's houses to get it.
Where's
classified
the raid?
Documents. Right. Where is the raid? And
Where's the FBI raid?
We need to have a serious investigation into this. I'll echo again, impeach Biden, and that's what we need to do.
Now, of course, to use the Sesame Street phrase, one of these things is not like the other. Biden's team handed over the documents as soon as they discovered them. They didn't string along the National Archives and the DOJ for over a year and a half and lie about handing everything over. So while the right is engaged in their usual performance art, the DOJ is focused on the very strong case they appear to be building against Trump. And they are reportedly ramping up their efforts. According to The Guardian, the DOJ has been showing a more aggressive posture in seeking judicial intervention as it prepares to question the people who found even more classified documents at one of Trump's properties at the end of last year. So when it comes to actual legal jeopardy, just ignore the theater and take a look at what's happening inside the Justice Department and in the other Trump legal cases. Joining me now is the reporter of that Guardian story, Hugo Lowell, and Barbara McQuaid, former U.S. attorney, professor at the University of Michigan Law School, and an MSNBC legal analyst. Hugo, I'm going to start with you to get your reporting on what further documents were found.
Yeah, so this was back in December last year. The Justice Department had wanted Trump's team to go back and see if there were any more outstanding documents remaining because they suspected they were. And lo and behold, they found 2 more classified documents, which, Trump returned back to the government, and that was settled. But it kind of speaks to a pattern of obstructive behavior, at least that's what the Justice Department thinks with respect to Trump. And so what has been happening behind closed doors over at the D.C. courthouse is at every turn now the Justice Department is bringing all these cases to the chief judge and saying, look, we need judicial intervention at every turn because we just don't trust Trump's lawyers anymore. We now for a second time, we've had more classified documents emerge. We really need to know the names and identities of these people who did the second search so we can question them, and that can be part of the wider investigation. And so, Barbara, just explain for those who are tempted to listen to what the right has been trying to do to make this equivalence between the Biden, I think, themselves discovered these documents and turned them over to the National Archives and, triggered that inquiry, and what's going on with Trump.
Yeah, well, so first, of course, Joy, the facts matter, and the Justice Department is doing the appropriate thing by assigning this case to a U.S. attorney, appointed by Trump, by the way, to investigate the facts and get to the bottom of everything. So that's important. But based on the facts that we know so far, to compare these two things is to compare an accidental fender bender with deliberately driving your car into a crowd. These are apples and oranges. In the case of Donald Trump, we have seen a resistance at every step to turning these documents over. When prosecutors make a decision about charging of the mishandling of classified documents, typically they will charge only when there is the presence of an aggravating factor. Jim Comey explained this when the FBI recommended no charges against Hillary Clinton before the 2016 election. Those aggravating factors are willfulness, obstruction of justice, and disloyalty to the United States. Now, there's no evidence of Donald Trump showing disloyalty to the United States for these documents, but willfulness is present, obstruction of justice appears to be present, and those things are completely lacking in the case of Joe Biden. Based on what we know, it appears that documents were perhaps negligently, we don't know what level of intent, found in that office, and until we know more, it's irresponsible, I think, to compare the two.
And Hugo, this is as the Team Trump or Donald Trump is facing a lot incoming. We have a special grand jury in Georgia. That Trump inquiry has concluded its investigation. There's a hearing going to be held on January 24th to determine whether that will be made public and what the grand jury is going to recommend. And of course, there's also the court weighing immunity for Donald Trump in a defamation case over the rape claim that E. Jean Carroll made. Inside of sort of Trump world, are each of these things sort of weighing equally on them? Because they all seem to be genuine legal jeopardy.
No, and I think it's a fact of the case that there are so many things happening that they can't devote equal amounts of time to everything. But it's also, I think, a reflection of the fact that Trump's lawyers know, like, the really serious cases inherently. You know, the thing they are spending the most amount of time on, it's the Mar-a-Lago documents case.
Yeah.
A person close to the legal team described it as kind of 80% of our time is focused on the documents case, 20% of the time is focused on the January 6 cases, and then 10% is just spread everywhere else.
Everywhere else. The E. Jean Carroll case obviously is a civil case, Barbara, but is that sort of the right way to look at it, that the most jeopardy Donald Trump faces is on the Mar-a-Lago documents because of the obstruction and just for possessing the documents at all?
Yeah, I think the Mar-a-Lago case is the most urgent case, only because I think that's the one that prosecutors could charge pretty quickly, I think. You know, the January 6th case still strikes me as one where they need to button down a lot of other things. And it seems that if charges can be filed, they can be filed sooner in the Mar-a-Lago case. And the Espionage Act brings with it lengthy prison terms. But over the horizon, I think the January 6th case still looms larger. It may be longer in coming, but if it does come, I think that one is one that threatens not only to expose Donald Trump to criminal prosecution, but even to bar him from holding office again under the 14th Amendment.
That is the one he should be paying attention to, that sounds like. Hugo Lowell and Barbara McQuade, thank you both very much. We'll be right back.